So what does the future hold, and how did we get here? Where are we at? What's the actual condition of the economy? What does the future hold for our economy, for our nation, for the world? To put some of these things in perspective, the original big picture guy, Ravi Batra, Dr. Ravi Batra, professor of economics at Southern Methodist University, author of the internationally best-selling book, The New Golden Age, The Coming Revolution Against Political Corruption and Economic Chaos, and Greenspan's Fraud, among others. Ravi Batra, RAVIBATRA.com is his website. And Dr. Batra, it's been a while since we've talked. It's been way too long. Thank you for joining us on the program today.
Thanks for having me on your show again.
It's great to have you with us. I'm curious, just snapshot, where are we at right now?
We are very close to a second dip, what they call, or double dip they call it, the second leg of the recession. I think in a month or two, we will start to see the rate of unemployment rising again. Mm-hmm. And especially after this year, unemployment will shoot up. The recession that has already started again in Europe is now coming to our shores. China is slowing down. India is slowing down. In fact, the whole world is slowing down. And in the United States, we have seen, we had good job numbers early this year, but that's also going away now. So I think we are on the cusp or the starting point of a double dip in the United States.
Why? What brought this about?
Main reason is that, first of all, the government is wasting away time and resources. Right now, it takes about $1.5 million for the government to create one job. I'm not kidding. $1.5 million is being spent now to create one job in the United States. And how long can that go on? The budget deficit is extremely high, and they're wasting this money.
Right.
And if they had just, the average wage is below $50,000 a year, it might just be, we might be better off just to give them the money, $50,000, and spend $1.5 million to create one job. So we are wasting this money, and this money is ending up in the pockets of the wealthy who keep speculating in the oil market, so the oil prices stay very high. In the past, recession would go away because the oil price would collapse. That was one reason why recessions would disappear, and the other reason was the revival of housing market, the auto industry, and so on. Mm-hmm. But the housing industry is still very slow, and the auto industry is reviving a bit, but it's extremely slow. It's not fast enough. So I think we are wasting our resources, and then Europe being in recession means our exports into Europe are going to fall. So I think after July and August, we are going to see a really lousy economy in the United States, and then next year, what they're calling it, fiscal cliff, right? So you've heard of that word, fiscal cliff. Right. That the U.S. spending is going to fall sharply because of some tax and some laws that have already been passed. Right. So,
although they can be unpassed. But would it be
those laws, then we'll be fishing around at the bottom. But I don't think that's going to happen. It's going to be a negative turn now because it's just too late. They've wasted so much time and resources already.
Yeah. Would it be accurate to say that we had a period, arguably even a 30-year period, but a period that was a giant bubble that inflated it? The bubble has burst. The structural reforms necessary to prevent more bubbles and to rebuild the infrastructure, I don't mean physical, and the economic infrastructure of our nation, haven't been done. The fundamentals are not solid, and therefore the recession will continue. Is that a reasonable characterization?
No, the main fundamental is consumer demand.
Yes.
Consumer demand out of their own incomes, not out of debt.
Right.
For the past 30 years, the government has been luring or tempting the consumer to borrow money and spend it while following all types of policies that create stagnant wages or even create falling wages.
Right.
And if wages keep falling, consumer demand cannot be revived just with debt.
So
and now the consumer is not in a position to borrow that much more money. So the government is borrowing a lot of money to make up for that shortfall. And so since consumer demand is stagnant, we really cannot expect a revival of the economy because, after all, the economy is mostly the private sector,
right.
not the government.
So which policies would stimulate consumer demand or would give people the, I mean, are you talking about increasing the minimum wage, increasing unionization, bringing back tariff policies or other policies that bring manufacturing back to the United States? I mean, how do you go about doing that, putting more money in the average working person's pocket?
Well, there are a number of things that the Federal Reserve can do. The government cannot do much more because it already has a huge deficit, but the Federal Reserve keeps bailing out the bankers.
Mm-hmm.
Not banks, but bankers. That's an important distinction. The bankers keep making a lot of money, a lot of profit, huge bonuses, even in a stagnant economy they have huge bonuses. But what the Federal Reserve should be doing is to bring down the interest rate for the credit card customer. That's not happening. The credit card borrower, the person who spends money and borrows money on the credit card, they are still paying an average 15 to 20% interest rate, which is what it was in 2007 and 8.
Right.
That interest rate has not come down at all. All the Federal Reserve has done is to cut the cost of funds to the banks, and the banks are making a lot of money, especially this bank, Chase Bank.
Yeah, Jamie Dimon's bank.
Millions of dollars in profit.
Sure,
now
and
the cost of the government of borrowing.
So we used to have usury laws, and it used to be till the Nixon administration that if a bank charged you more than 10% interest on anything, it was a crime. Are you suggesting we bring back usury laws? I mean, how can the Fed force banks or incentivize banks to drop interest rates on credit cards when those high interest rates are a major source of profit for the banks?
Oh, there's a very, very simple way. You won't believe I talked about this plan to Nancy Pelosi some 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
She was in Dallas, and I had a meeting with her for about 1 hour and longer. And I told her there is a very simple way the Federal Reserve can bring interest rates down for the consumer, and you don't have to pass any law to do this. So what they should do is this. There are insolvent banks, there are bankrupt banks, and the FDIC takes over those banks, and the Federal Reserve supplies them funds and cheap loans. So what the Fed could do is to offer credit card service by itself. Right now,
right.
The MasterCard and Visa, and they offer these services and charge, and the banks through them charge 15-20%.
So have our central bank compete with our commercial banks.
You got my gist. Yeah, let the central bank compete with these banks. We tell the customers, transfer your balances to this bank that has been taken over by the FDIC.
Yeah, and this is what
Charge you 5% interest on your borrowed money.
Hold on, just a moment, sir. We'll be right back with Dr. Ravi Batra.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Check out Ravi, R-A-V-I, Batra, B-A-T-R-A.com to see Dr. Ravi Batra's books and his writings. It's spectacular stuff. We'll be back with more of Dr. Batra. Dr. Batra, you're still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, great. So what you're suggesting is that that the Fed to compete with the commercial banks. Is that part of their charter? I thought that the Fed charter basically gave them two responsibilities. One was to maintain low unemployment, and the other was to maintain low inflation. How does this fit into that?
The Fed won't be competing. The Fed would be competing with the other banks indirectly. It's FDIC that takes over a bank,
Right.
and it's the FDIC that manages the bank and or appoints their own people to that bank's board or their management.
Uh-huh.
And then that bank competes with other banks, and the funds are supplied by the Fed is supplying funds to any other bank at 0% interest rate.
Right.
The Fed supplies that bank which has been taken over by the FDIC at 0% interest rate, and that bank then charges only 5% from the credit card customers, and the credit card customers transfer their balances from other banks to this bank that has been taken over by FDIC or to a number of banks that the FDIC has taken over. They have to replace their management and then offer this scheme.
Sure. And didn't the government of the UK do something like this with Northern Rock, with the bank that went insolvent in the UK?
Well, other countries are following sensible policies. We are not.
We're not, yeah. Now, North Dakota has their own state bank. I don't know if that bank issues credit cards, but it does issue loans. I mean, it was incorporated back in the 1900s to, as I recall, to give loans to farmers. But now it's a source of profit for the state and a banking source for people. Why not have every state charter their own state banks?
Well, that will take a long time. We really don't have. FDIC has been taking over one bank after another for so long,
so they have a portfolio right now.
That's right. The takeover bank. It will. The point is, time is of the essence. And so many people, millions of people, are still unemployed and just subsisting on unemployment benefits. Some don't even have those anymore. So time is of the essence. This could be done within 1 week.
Right. Wow. But at the same time, that is now just making debt more available to people. Isn't that the same? Isn't that what got us into this problem? You were saying earlier, government by offering low interest rates was incentivizing people to borrow. Isn't this doing the same?
Well, until the economy is fully fixed, we still need the government's help. The question is, why waste that money and make the bankers richer?
Right.
Why don't we revive consumer demand? And this will be, just imagine, you are a credit card customer. You have a balance of, say, $20,000. The average balance is about that much in the United States now. And your interest rate drops from 15% to 5%.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your monthly payments will fall down sharply, though you'll have a lot more money to spend on other goods, and that will revive consumer demand right away.
Yeah.
Right
okay.
away.
So that stimulates, amazing. Dr. Ravi Batra is with us. He will be back. Your calls for Dr. Batra, 866-987-THOM. We'll be back with Dr. Ravi Batra right after this. RaviBatra.com. Check that out. Welcome back. What about money? All about money. Dr. Ravi Batra on the line with us. Dr. Batra, you're still here?
Yes, I'm here.
Great. Okay. Steve in Atlanta, Georgia has a question for you. Steve, you're on the air with Dr. Batra.
How you doing, sir? I just had a question about, it was interesting because you were talking about you met with Nancy Pelosi and actually proposed that to her. But given the current administration and how hard it is to get things pushed through in Washington, I mean, for the future and the economy and jobs, what do you think is the best way to stimulate job production in the economy that wouldn't have to require, it seems like a miracle, with our government right now to get anything passed as positive?
Well, I just suggested a very, very important measure. If the Federal Reserve were to bring down the cost of credit to consumers, they have brought down the cost of credit, cost of borrowing to the banks. Banks are receiving money at 0% interest rate, but they are not passing that low interest rate on to their customers. And it's the customer who buys things, not the bankers. They actually raise oil price through their profits, through their speculation in the oil market.
Right. The bankers are basically the parasites in the equation.
Right. So we need to bring down the cost of credit to customers, and that will then pump in so much money. Imagine your interest rate falling from an average 15% to just 5%. That right. Will be your monthly balance will be cut by 1/3 right away.
Wow.
Sorry, 2/3 right away.
Kirk in Woodinville, Washington, listening on KPTK. Kirk, you're on the air with excuse me, I'm a day ahead of myself, with Dr. Ravi Batra.
Thanks, Tom. I hope that Louise is doing well. I haven't heard a progress report recently.
She is. She had a chemotherapy session today. She has 4 more to go after this, and so far it looks good. So anyhow, thank you for asking. Your question for Dr. Batra?
Well, I asked this question right after inauguration, and it was in a much different context. But Dr. Batra has had 3 years now to observe how President Obama handles situations. And you and I talked about this just a few days ago, how it seems like we're on the cusp of an opportunity for President Obama to call out the economic royalists as FDR did. And it sounds like, according to Dr. Batra, that by the end of the summer, that's going to be a stark reality that nobody can run away from. So, Dr. Batra has philosophized that we're on the cusp of a golden age. Is that imminent now? And how does President Obama see this moment, Dr. Batra?
I think President Obama is a very nice person. Despite what many people think about him, he's a very nice person at heart. He wants to do good for the middle class and wants to raise taxes for the wealthy, which are very badly needed. It's just that he has bad advice. And when I talked to Nancy Pelosi, I thought through her I could find a way to talk to the president. Unfortunately, nothing came out of after that meeting. Nancy was very happy to hear the ideas, and she really admired them. But I guess it has stopped over there. Nothing came out of that meeting. Mm-hmm. But I think our best hope is President Obama. It's not Romney or any other Republican.
Well, they've been committed ever since this meeting on the eve, literally the night that Obama was sworn in. There were 14 Republicans who met at the Caucus Room, this very fancy restaurant here in D.C., and basically swore a blood oath to block any kind of economic progress by the Obama administration in order to deny him a second term. Looks like it's working.
That's right, but I don't think Romney has really any chance. I mean, when I think the president raised the question. The question is not whether we should create jobs, but how we should create them. And the Republicans have no answers. The president has some answer, but they're wasting, imagine spending $1.5 million just to create one job which pays less than $50,000. That's a total.
That's a tough one. Yeah, Frank in Philadelphia, you're on the air with Dr. Ravi Batra. Frank? Oh, Frank vanished. Okay, let's go to Bud in Santa Clara, California. You're on the air with Dr. Ravi Batra.
Oh yes, thank you. Just wanted to clarify what the doctor's saying. I think he's attacking credit card rates, which are high. Those are inherently high because of the risk. There's so many bad credit risks out there. Banks have to charge higher. Mortgage loans, thankfully, are low because of the Fed action. The mortgage loans are helping consumers because of Fed action being low. And let me make one more point.
Well, let me just get Dr. Batra's response to that. Are credit card rates high because of risk?
No, if the banks were losing money on the credit card, they won't be offering them. Look at how much profit they are making. $4 billion per quarter is what Chase Bank did. And they should not be in a position to make so much profit when the rest of the economy is suffering. So it's not a high risk. It's just, and the interesting part is when their cost of credit has come down almost to zero. Shouldn't they reduce their interest rate even a bit to their borrowers? They should at least reduce the interest. That's the whole purpose.
But Jamie Dimon wants a new corporate jet. Pardon my interrupting you. But my point, what I was saying, Jamie Dimon wants a new corporate jet is basically, greed is running this thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all greed, and that's what is ruining our economy, not just ours, all over the world. Look at what's happening in Europe. It's whatever money that ECB, the European Central Bank, offers to any country. It doesn't go to the consumers, it goes to their bankers. And they still make huge profits.
Is the Europeans
all over the world? It's the same story. Consumer demand is low, production is high, and therefore they can't sell enough goods, and that's why the government is then busy spending money to buy those goods. But where does the money? The money goes to the producers, those who produce these goods, because in a balanced economy, in a good economy, economic balance requires supply equals demand.
Hold on just a moment.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 866-987-THOM.
We will continue that thought with Dr. Ravi Batra right after this break for the news. Check out ravibatra.com for all of his writings.